Hello guys, my name is Sagar Dhawan. Welcome to Firewall Mastery 5-in-1 course. Okay, and today I want to do a quick lab over on Palo Alto Firewall. So this is just a basic thing what I would configure today, and I'll try to make many more these kinds of small labs, and I'll try to demonstrate. Okay, so agenda for today would be configure IP addresses on the Palo Alto firewall, to configure zones, to configure the security policies. Okay, basically I just want to send my traffic from trust or inside zone towards untrust zone or outside. Okay, so if you see my screen here, let's assume I'm over here and I want to ping this IP, which is 212.1.1.3. So how would my packet travel? Yes, we have two firewall, but as of now, let's ignore this one. Okay, might be in future while I cover HA. I need two firewalls, but as of now, let's keep only one. So I have kept all of these powered off. So you can see this is powered off, this is also powered off, and this is my firewall which is powered off. Okay, so I'll go to the power on mode, and then I'll show you how do I configure. So just let me tell you how would be the packet flow here. So my packet from here goes over in this direction and ping on this IP. Okay, so it's a pure concept of inside to outside traffic flow. Okay, and in the case of Palo Alto, inside to outside by default are not allowed. Okay, by default are not allowed. Whereas if you just check it out in the Cisco ASA firewall, inside, which has a security level of 100, and if you see the outside zone, which gets the security level 0, so by default this traffic is allowed. Okay, in the case of Cisco ASA firewall, because in the concept of Cisco ASA firewall, inside and outside automatically get a security level numbers. So from a higher level to a lower level, the packets are always allowed. But in the case of Palo Alto, there is no concept of security levels. Okay, so we have to define this zone as trust or inside. Okay, it's just a name, nothing else. There is no concept of security level in Palo Alto, and this zone is my outside zone or untrust zone. Okay, so once I set the zone, as I told you, there is no security level, so I have to go with my security policy. If I don't do that, then basically the traffic will not flow from inside to outside. Okay, so my first step would be to configure IP address, then I'll configure a zone. Okay, I'll make use of my Palo Alto. I have kept a browser here so that I can take the GUI or graphical interface of my Palo Alto and configure zone, configure IP address on Palo Alto as well, and then policy. Okay, and we should see our traffic being transmitted from inside to outside. So this is a short lab just to get started. Tomorrow what I'll do is I'll take another topic from FY LTM, Might be I'll show you some topic from priority grouping. Okay, so those guys who have not seen my Firewall Mastery 5-in-1 topology, let me take you to this lab. Okay, so this is my topology for Firewall Mastery 5-in-1. Okay, so this is where I kept checkpoint, Palo Alto, FortiGate, Cisco ASA. This is under site New York. And we also have another site India with autonomous system 2000. And I have placed some ASA, FortiGate, Palo Alto, and checkpoint. I can create multiple number of scenarios now. Let's say if I want to have a IPsec VPN on this, between this. Okay, so here I have ASA firewall, and on this side I have FortiGate. So I can say that I need a IPsec tunnel between FortiGate to ASA. Or let's say I'm over here F5, and I'm trying to do some next gen features like URL filtering. Okay, so let's say I don't want my users to browse Facebook during work hours. Okay, so the traffic should go via in this direction onto the Facebook server, right? So I am over here, or I can say some users are here, and his traffic will flow across his Palo Alto. It will move to the ISP router. From ISP router, it will go to the MPLS cloud. The MPLS tags will get attached, and then it will finally reach the Facebook data center, and then we have a F5 load balancer, and load balancer must load balance. Okay, so this part of lab I will do it tomorrow. Might be I want to show you something with F5 where I can do some priority grouping. Okay, where I can say I need only two servers to always participate in load balancing, whereas this one I don't want. So I can set some priority here so that this never participate, even though it's up and running fine, but they don't need. Okay, so I'll show this in the next lab. So in today's lab, I am gonna keep it very simple. I'll show you the IP configuration here. Okay, and then we'll configure the zones. Will configure the security policy, and my traffic should go till here, should ping, and I must get the ICMP reply. Okay, so you might be knowing ping consists of ICMP protocol, and ICMP protocol is of two type: request and reply. So request is nothing but ICMP type code 8, and reply is ICMP type code 0. So this is your CCNP enterprise. So let's not go into all those things. Let's focus from Palo Alto point of view. Okay, as I told you, this is a short lab, and I just want to keep it very simple. So let's not bring lot many things here. But yes, those guys who want to join our online batch, let me tell you, we are also running some online classes for the firewalls. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to go to website. This is the website for our Firewall Mastery. You can get all the 5 syllabus copies here. Okay, so this is Palo Alto. Next we would be starting with F5, FortiGate, ASA, and checkpoint. So this is all 5 top technologies under single package. Okay, so you can download the PDF and you can enroll to all the 5, or you can take any one. So pricing are already been listed here. So if you need all, what you need to do is you need to select the last option, click on add to cart. Okay, a new browser would have popped up, and then you can make the payment. Okay, so by mistake it shows as quantity 3. can select one. So this is by Firewall Mastery, all 5 in one. Okay, this is the cost, one quantity, and you can make the checkout. Let's say if you need only one, then you select one of them, add to cart. Okay, you can remove the previous one. Now it's $120 just for Palo Alto, and you can make the payment. This is for international student who are using PayPal, but for Indian student I also have added up the local Indian gateway. So if you want to buy all five, click on this button, or if you need only one track, you click on this button. Okay, and once you do the payment, basically I get the notification, and I'll let you know the next step and next approach. Okay, so I'll add you to our existing batch. We already started with Palo Alto and have covered 5 to 6 classes, so we will add you there. Okay, so you will get all the documents like class notes, lab material, of course the regular labs. Okay, we are using a different lab for our day-to-day class studies, but yes, if you need this lab, the lab which I just showed you, five in one mastery lab, then you need to enroll all the 5 modules. Okay, you need to go with 5 in 1, which is our top package, and then you get access to this lab. And we are gonna create 10 to 20 scenarios for you guys, where you can look into the workbook and start solving the issues on this. Okay, so good thing about this is it is of course gonna carry the firewalls, all the types of firewalls. You can do almost all the important topics. Okay, also it consists of the switching part, uh, routing part, redistribution path, the eBGP path. If you want, you can also try to configure MPLS. Okay, and then on the other side you can see how the F5 load balances. Right in front of load balancer we have kept some firewalls, so it's a real time scenario. So this is how most of enterprise data centers are made up of. Okay, so the packet flows out of your ISP towards the MPLS, and from MPLS to the data center. Okay, so this is a real-time approach. It's a benefit for everyone. So those who join all 5 in 1 are definitely benefited. But don't worry, if you join 1 or 2 module, we will give you a different lab topology with less number of node. And yes, you can also practice them. And once you're good, you can enroll for the second module, third module, and once you complete all 5 module, you can take the access of 5 in 1. Okay, so let's not waste the time. Let's go to the device. Okay, this is my GNS controller. Let me zoom this. Let me go to the Palo Alto session. So this is my Palo Alto section. Okay, let me just zoom out. Okay, now I need to power on. So what are the instances I'm gonna power on? I need a machine where I can initialize the ping, right? So it's a test user. I will power on this switch. I'll power on this. This is already powered on. I need the GUI for managing my Palo Alto. I need this switch, and then I need this router. Okay, so this is my nodes that needs to be powered on. So my traffic will go this way. The return traffic must come back again in this direction. All right, so I don't need this. I don't need this, so I'll just shut that out to reduce my memory consumption. Yes guys, just remember these Palo Alto consumes 8 GB of RAM, okay, and it needs like two vCPUs. If you don't set them, they don't come up, so be careful with that. So let's power on. All right, I have powered on everything. I want to tell you, when you just deploy the Palo Alto, they basically uh, come up with some dummy management IP. I always go with my standard IP schema. So if you see here, this is the management IP I'm following, one dot series. So what I'll do is, the moment this comes up, I'll go and configure the management IP as 192.168.1.245. Okay, so once I configure this, now I can take the access from this because it's already on 1.1 subnet. So if you can do a right click, so you see it's already in 1.1, and I'll just make it as 1.245. Okay, so let me stop and let me start once again. All right, so let's take the console of the Palo Alto. Okay, it shows it's booted up. By default, username and password is admin, but since I have already configured, so it's no more admin. Okay, so you can see it says login incorrect because I have changed it. So my password is Networkjourney123. Okay, so it's not stable now. Okay, the device is just powered on, so it needs at least 10-20 seconds to come this up, or get stabilized, and then the logins will work. Okay, so don't think that if it says login incorrect, then that's a issue with your password. No, it's not that way. Now the device is just booted up. Okay, it needs some time to be settled down. So let's come back. Until then, let me go to the different nodes. So let me take this. This is my test. I can see my own IP address if config. So this is 9.98. I can put a continuous ping right now. Okay, so this ping I have initiated to this interface. Okay, from here, but nothing is going to happen at the moment because I have to configure rest of the things and then it will start working. So let me go and start placing the IPs. Okay, so before we go and do over on the Palo Alto, which is still not up, let's go and finish with the switch. So what I have done here is, I have made this as access port running on VLAN 10, and I have made this on trunk port 10 and 20. The reason why I did is, might be in future I keep another user and he is on 20 VLAN and this is on VLAN 10. Now I need to have both VLAN allowed here, 10 and 20, right? So yes, these Palo Alto, they support .1q trunking, and they also support sub interfaces. That's the good thing about Palo Alto. Okay, that's the reason I am making 10 and 20 trunk here, and I'm making a access VLAN 10 over here. And here, as of now, I'll create sub interface with .1q for VLAN tagging of 10, and rest are the simple IP addresses. This switch I don't have to configure anything. Okay, there's no need of it. So I'll then configure the IP address over here. So let's go to the switch and let's see what do I have. So if I do show IP int gig 0/0, you will see VLAN 10. VLAN 10. It's an access port. All right, good. So let's go to the next interface, which is 1. All right, if you see this, my interface here is trunk encapsulation is .1q, and allowed VLANs are 10 and 20. All right. So that is the two configuration changes I have done on the switch. All right. Now uh, let's go to the device Palo Alto. Let me see if it is powered on or it's stabilized now. Okay. Yes. Now it's up. So you can see I'm logged in over TTY as 0. All right. So this is good one. So in your case, if you just booted up your Palo Alto for the first time, remember you have to set your management IP. Okay. So in my case, I have already done, but not to worry. I have created a notes for you guys. So follow this notes. So it consists of all the steps that we did so far. So on my step number 1, I had configured some IPs to the user. Okay. Then step number 2, I did configure VLAN 10 and some trunking, right? So that is over here. Step number 3, as I told, admin is your default username password, and then you configure your management IP 1.245 and a default gateway to this browser. Okay. I'm making use of web term from GNS Marketplace, which is a good web browser. Okay. Or the one with very minimum option. So this you need for GUI purpose of Palo Alto, management purpose. Okay. So what does it says after that? So the next step is configuration on the Palo Alto, and the last step is the ISP router. Okay. So we will go and start with this configuration, and finally we have this configuration left out. Okay. So let's start with Palo Alto. So I have already told you the configuration for this. Okay. And you have to make this interface as 192.168.1.245. That is for management purpose, not for the data traffic. So let's assume Palo Alto is up and running fine, and we have already created this. If you want, I can copy paste these management IPs once again. So 245.1, right? So I'll copy this and I'll place it here. So once I place it, it will, since I have done the commit, it will save the, or it will write the config. Okay. So you can see the percentage. So we have to wait for some time. Okay. So it's done. Let's see if I can take the GUI interface. Okay. So this is my Mozilla. My IP was 192.168.1.245. So it's good. My password is nothing but my Palo Alto password, CLI password. So GUI and CLI follow the same password. Okay. So I can see the session is coming up on the GUI. So until it come up, let me show you the PDF. Okay. So once I have done this, the next step is to configure the interface. So you can see my interface configurations. So this is on the inside zone, and this is over on the outside zone. You can see this is the inside part and this is the outside part. Okay. So I picked up a physical interface. I said it's a layer 3. Okay. And I put them under security zone trust. And then while creating sub interface, I have tagged VLAN 10, and I have said it's a trust and it's a default virtual router, and then I have configured a IP address to this 1.10. So you can see 9.1 is the IP here. This is an inside network. And next I configured 1/2, which is my Untrust network. Okay, over here layer 3 default virtual router untrust IP4 address to be a public IP. So this is something which we need to do now. So my Palo Alto is up. I can see its management or GUI interface. I'll quickly go to networks. Okay. Now I'll go towards zone and we will create two zones first. Okay. So let's click on zone and you can see I have two zones created. It's very easy. You can click on add and you can just say inside zone. Okay, and you can click on OK. So you can see the new zone has come. Similar way you can create something for outside and click OK. So you can see inside and outside. Now you can go to the interface. Okay, you can see I've already configured, but let's say if I want to re-show you the same thing. So I'll click on 1/1, which is my inside interface. And over here I don't have to do anything. This is a physical interface. I just want it to be uh, in a no shutdown mode. So layer 3, these are the different modes of interface that Palo Alto has, but I'm right now interested for it to be layer 3. Okay, virtual router not very important as of now because I will create sub interface and that sub interface I'll add to the virtual router. Router is your routing rib, I can say, or FIB, forwarding information base. Okay, so in a Palo Alto, by default the routing table don't pull all the other interfaces or subnets. Okay, we have to put them under virtual routers. Okay, this is little different from other ASA or a router concepts, because in other firewalls what happens is as soon as we create different networks, a generic or a global routing information table gets created and all the networks are part of this by default, right? But in the case of Palo Alto, the rib is not generic. Okay, so we have a concept of virtual router. So virtual router for this network is different, for this it's different, might be you have a other network under different virtual router. Okay, so this is one routing table, this is another routing table, this is another routing table, this is another routing table, something like a VRF concepts. Okay, so what I need to do is when I am trying to route, I'll make sure my virtual router fall in such a way that inside and outside are part of that virtual router. So I have named it as default. I'll show this later. Okay, so my inside network and outside network should be part of the same virtual router information base. Otherwise, if they are in a different VR and this is in different VR, then how would they communicate? Then we have to configure some static between them, right? So to avoid such complication, we will put inside and outside under the single VR itself. Okay, but not required as of now because this is for inside physical and I am making use of sub interface. I'll show you that. So under IPv4 also I don't configure anything. I just need my interface to be up. Now here I am creating sub interface. Now this is very important. Okay, so when I create sub interface, okay, so when I create sub interface over here, this is my sub interface. Okay, and as of now my VLAN is 10, so I'll create sub interface tagged with 10. Okay, so interface, this is the interface identifier or sub interface identifier. I can also write it in this way. Okay, this is my VLAN tagging. I said VR now it belongs to default. I can keep any name. Okay, by default it's considering default, so let's keep it as default. But yes, I can change it. Security zone trust, which I had created in the step 1. So once I got the management of this, I went to the zone and I created some zones here. So I just use the drag option to take it up. Okay, so trust, untrust. So this is a trust. If I click here, then I select basically the default option. Okay, then I'll go to IPv4 address. This is my inside network, or I can say this is the network which act as a gateway to these guys. These are users, right? And it's 9.96 and the gateway is here with 9.1. Typical enterprise scenarios. Okay, nothing new so far. So once I done this, I'll check my outside zone of my Palo Alto, which is here, and we can see the public IP that's configured. So this is a layer 3 interface routing. VR is once again default, and security zone now is untrusted. IPv4 is 212.1.1./29. Okay, so /29 is 255, 255, 255, 248. So one IP here, another IP here, and third IP here. So that's why I have taken the range of 29. If I take 30, then only 2 usable IPs can be created. So I need 3 IPs. So I could not make use of /30. That's why I went with /29. All right. So interface I have configured. Interface IPs I configured. Zones are configured. And if you see virtual router, I am not gonna create anything by myself. They automatically get created. Okay, so I've not done any kind of other routings here, like no static or no other routing table. By default it's set. We have one default virtual router with the name default. Would you like to use it? And I said yes, I'm good with it. I'll make use of default and I'll keep my 2 interface inside and outside. All right, so we are done with zone, interface, and virtual router. Now let's go to the policies. As you know, in the case of Palo Alto, there is no security levels. Okay, there is nothing like inside has 100, outside has 0. So all zones are without any number. So that's why we have to create some security policies. Okay, by default these 2 policies will be present. You don't have to delete, or you can just ignore them and start writing your own policy. So there's an option of adding. So you click here and you can add any number of policies. So I already created one policy. Let's see what it talks about. Okay, so these are just a name. It says into out. You can say trust to untrust, anything which helps you to understand. Okay, so in my case it was into out. When I go to source, I have selected trust. So my source for the policy is all the network from trust. Okay, under user I have not selected anything, kept as it is. Destination is now untrusted. Okay, into out traffic flow. Application I selected any. Okay, so I'm not gonna do anything. Service URL I once again kept any, no actions. And then finally actions, okay, which is very important. Over here, if you see, there's a drop down menu and there are a couple of options. So with this security policy, what do you need? You want to allow or deny or any sorts of resets. So on basis of that, you will pick one of them. So in my case, it was allow. I'm making the rule for allowing inside to outside. Okay, and yes, we are almost done. Once you have all the required things, click on commit. Okay, and then you can click on the final button over here which says commit. So let's see what changes have I done, and it says that there are some pending changes. So let's see what changes I have done. Okay, so yes, as I was demonstrating some inside outside, so it has considered that as the new change. Yes, I don't need them because I have made use of trust and untrust. I wanted to show you the option, so I created some fake thing inside and outside. Basically, I don't need them. Okay, so what I can do is I'll go back to networks, zones, and I'll delete these two things. Okay, so once I delete them, if I once again go to commit, let's see what is the new changes that it's asking for. Okay, so basically there is nothing is required. Okay, so we are good with Palo Alto. So don't be confused, that's because I added few things, so I just removed them off. Okay, so Palo Alto done. What about this device? So we don't need any configuration here, not required. We'll go here and we'll configure this IP. So let's go to our last router. Okay, and let's configure something. So let's see what do I have. Okay, so I have my IP configured 2.1.1.1.3. All right, now I need a route because when I ping something, it will definitely come here, but it doesn't have a return path with it. The return path is missing. So what I'll do is I'll put a default route. I'll say if anything comes to me, just push it back to the firewall. Okay, so my default route, so let me see if I have something and if it is already good. Yes, okay, so this is default route, but it's pointing on different uh, firewalls. Okay, so my default route should be put up in this way. So any traffic which comes to me, I will push it back to the Palo Alto firewall. Okay, so this is very important. Otherwise your ping packet are only in one direction. You will see lot many ping packets coming and trying to get the response, but due to no routing or no return traffic path, it would be just one way. Okay, so we will set this IP route on this router which says if anything comes to me, just push it back to the firewall. Since firewall is directly connected, it will have its VR where it has maintained all the different network routes and it will push it back. Okay, so this is a basic configuration, and we are good for testing. So let's test this, and you can see my packet is actually reaching to the destination. Okay, so I am over here on 9.91 and I'm able to ping 1.3. So my packet is flowing across in this direction. But what I'll do is I'll put some Wireshark capture, and I'll also put some Wireshark capture here to make sure whether my packet is really traveling in this direction or not. So how do I open Wireshark? I'll do a right click, start them. Okay, so two captures to see and prove the traffic is flowing in this direction. Okay, but yes, this Palo Alto also has some monitoring options here. So when I click on monitor, and if I check out this packet capture, I can also enable the captures. Okay, so I have to click on packet capture on. Okay, have to create some staging, let's say test, or let's say into out. Okay, So it says how many packet counts do you need, let's say 100. So let's say staging of into out, let's define ICMP traffic. Okay, so staging is one of them. Okay, so you want to capture the traffic which are dropped or which are sent via firewall, or if you're receiving something, or whether you're transmitting. So right now my traffic are transmitting, so I'll take transmit, I'll say ICMP, and I want to capture 100 packet counts. Okay, okay, so on my other hand, I can see the Wireshark coming up, but let's once see this feature as well. Okay, so I can see my ICMP capture here on 25th. So today is 25th. So you can see here it's Jan 25th. Okay, so how many packet has it collected? So it has collected some packet. If I click here, it will basically get saved as a pcap format. Okay, I'm not sure if I have a if I have a Wireshark here, so that I can open this. So what I'll do is, for now we will not go with the packet capture of the Palo Alto's feature. Instead, I'll directly go with Wireshark. Okay. So what I've done is I have put some Wireshark directly here. If a traffic is going in this direction, then my Wireshark has to capture them. Okay. So the one capture, and this is the second capture. Okay, so you can see here, so which is which here, this is, okay, so it's in this order. This is the first one and this is the second one. Okay, so let's keep it here. So this is this, and it says traffic, ping traffic is flowing in this direction. Okay, and my second Wireshark is this. So the traffic which is entering to the Palo Alto will also egress and hit the destination, come back on the same path and reach to the user. Okay, so this is how we allow in to out traffic flow in a Palo Alto. So very simple. If you just follow my notes, you can easily get this going. Okay, I've also created some notes for you guys. So what we did, we just powered on the Palo Alto, we created interface IPs, we created zone. Virtual router, I kept the default as it is without creating anything new. I created a policy and I demonstrated inside to outside traffic flow. So this I'm not going to cover now. Might be I'll cover this in a different class. So I'll show you the different NAT options. Okay, the source NAT and the destination NAT. I'll show you this. All right, and I think we covered all these things, and my notes, I'll give it to you guys. So my lab number 1, which you can see here, I'll put up in the description. Okay, so this is the lab number 1, traffic flow inside to outside. Yes, I have not done this, so let me take this out. This is the diagram. This is the step number 1, step number 2, step number 3, step number 4, and final step. Okay, and then you should be able to ping from your end user. Okay, so in my case, yeah, end user is no one but this guy is a end user, and is pinging up this IP, and traffic is in this direction. All right, guys, so if you want to join the Firewall Mastery class, definitely contact me back so that I can help you with the enrollment process. So this is all the syllabus copies. You just click on them, you will download the syllabus copy, and if you take all the 5 in one, definitely you will get this massive lab. Okay, the massive lab which consists of all the 5. And the good thing is you have the MPLS concepts. You will learn the EBGP redistribution, the OSPF things. Okay, and yes, we are also planning to add some Cisco eyes for radius TCAS authentication. Okay, so you will also see in few days that we have a Cisco eyes here, and along with that, lot of scenarios, lot of workbooks that we can create. Okay, so my next video I'll try to create on a FI topic, where I'll create some priority grouping, or I'll show you some FI web creation, or node, or pool creation. We can also ping from this instance, since now this user can reach, till this. So we have to make a way to reach the server as well. Okay, so if a user here wants to browse this, we need a way to reach here, right? So yes, we can do that as well. So let me know in the comment section if you need this types of short labs, and I'll prepare for these things. Okay, so hope you guys liked it and enjoyed it. So do let me know in the comment section. Thank you, everyone.